Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rebecca Vieira, and I'm the coordinator of the Inter-American Teacher Education Network, which is an initiative of the Organization of American States. I'm so pleased to have everybody here this afternoon, our speakers, as well as all of you as our attendees. I want to just share a couple of details before we get started with this afternoon's program. First of all, I want to give a little bit of logistical kind of information. I'm sure at this point, especially as most of you are educators, you absolutely know how to work Zoom and WebEx and all these different kinds of tools. We are actually in a meeting mode right now. If you are able to open your microphone, we actually ask you to keep it closed unless you happen to be speaking during the Q&A session. And if you have any kinds of questions throughout the session, just go ahead and type them in the chat. During the Q&A, if you are interested in opening your microphone to verbally ask your question, just feel free to raise your digital hand, or if there's an appropriate time to just open your microphone and speak after the presentation is over. That would be fine. We are also recording this session, so just please be advised that if you do happen to turn on your camera or your microphone, you will be recorded, and we will be posting this recording on the ITEN website. So with that, again, I want to thank you all for coming today. We've got some wonderful presentations from Master Teachers of Jamaica, and we're also very blessed to have the director of the Master Teacher Unit of the Jamaica Teaching Council also here. He's always here to support his teachers, and that's something that I absolutely love to see. Today we're going to have 5 presentations, not necessarily in this order here, that are going to share a little bit about best practices, particularly within the context of STEM education. Just to give you a grander sense of exactly what it is that ITEN is and what it does, we try to basically cooperate with ministries of education across the OAS member states. There are 34 countries that are involved in this initiative, basically. And we really try to help people focus down on what the needs are of STEM teachers, take a look at policies that influence STEM teachers, practices that best support STEM teachers, and of course their students. And we do that through an initiative called Project Teams, where we partner up multiple institutions from multiple countries with each other, because I'm not a huge fan of external experts, because we've got experts in every single one of our countries, and most of them are in our classrooms already. So this is why I'm so excited to have our master teachers here today, because they have a lot of great expertise to share. ITEN is supported by the U.S. mission to the OAS, and so we're very grateful to them for everything that they do to make these initiatives possible. Today's presentation, although it is a group of fabulous folks from Jamaica specifically, some of the ideas that you'll be hearing about today during the webinar actually originate through some of the collaborations that they've had with their partners on a project team. In particular, they've been working with SINASU of Suriname, with George Mason University of the United States, and also the Ministry of Education of Antigua and Barbuda. So we're excited to see this cross-pollination of ideas and to hear from all of these teachers' experiences today. And I think at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Joseph Thomas to get us started with our program.
Good afternoon, educators. Welcome to this webinar series. The master teachers in Jamaica have been seriously watching it. The rapid changes in the teaching and learning environment since the pandemic forced us to discontinue the face-to-face teaching, that is classroom teaching, traditional. In order to face the challenges, the master teachers tried various strategies to reach out to students to continue providing meaningful learning environment, and they also shared the best practices that they experienced. This afternoon, 5 master teachers are here to interact with you regarding strategies that they found very effective in this new paradigm. Thank you to OAS ITEN especially Ms. Rebecca Wire, for allowing us to use this platform for this professional development opportunities. Thanks to the invited educators who attended this discussion. Thanks to all presenters, and I am commenting for the hard work and the dedication of today's presenters. Let us join our hands for the development of the teaching profession in Jamaica and across the world. Thank you.
Five master teachers from Jamaica have done it. The COVID pandemic came with a sponge, but they have come back with wonderful strategies that will attempt, even though COVID tried to attempt to cripple our education system, they're here with wonderful strategies to help us to overcome. This is happening right now. Now I turn over to our roving reporter, Mrs. Alan Russell, as she picks up on the introductory speech at this. Good afternoon, fellow educators. There is a concept in education known as teacher study groups, where 2 to 6 teachers would meet together to share and implement newly learned teaching practices, try innovative problem solving, and improve achievement in the classroom. This is what we hope to do in this webinar, where 5 master teachers from Jamaica will share their best practices on how to improve the learning outcome of students in our classrooms. Dr. Joseph Thomas, Director of the Master Teacher Unit at JTC, presented our welcome note to showcase this event, and our 5 master teachers will share on the following points. We will begin with Mr. Franklin Burrell, who will present how teachers can use technology and media in supporting learning. Then we move on to Ms. Michelle Chinsey, who will examine visual arts and hands-on learning, bringing real-world experiences into learning, allowing the students to connect concepts through hands-on activities. They can then deepen their knowledge with theory and skills to take them to the next level. And by no means least, we next have Mr. Amakar Brown, who will scrutinize effective online assessment tools, specifically Test Portal. His presentation will seek to provide teachers with the opportunity to assess students under fair examination conditions using enhanced honesty respondent technology features. Then we move to Miss Nadine Ellis-Hall, who will showcase the joy of group work online using digital tools such as Padlet, which is versatile and can easily be monitored. And last but by no means least, Bagia Maladi looks on student engagement in synchronous learning, making ample use of technology and allowing students to take ownership of their learning, leading to the teacher engaging the student in an effective way. So sit back, relax, and be prepared for a tantalizing and informative evening. Now over to you, Mr. Franklin Burrell.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be sharing with you today. Thank you for that warm welcome, Mrs. Marsha Russell. Miss Marsha Russell, thank you. And I must say, I'm a bit nervous. I'm always humbled to share. So please bear with me. All right. Let me start by, let me close this. Let me start by saying a few things about myself. My name is Franklin Burrell. I teach at St. Andrew School for Girls. I teach chemistry, and I am a master teacher for chemistry. I am going to look briefly at the flipped classroom, which I think is very important to what I will be sharing shortly. So the flipped classroom, let us ask the question, what is a flipped classroom? So the flipped classroom is a pedagogical approach in which direct instruction moves from group learning space to the individual learning space. And the resulting group space is now transferred into a dynamic, interactive learning environment where the educator guides students as they apply concepts and engage creatively in the subject matter. So as you can see from my illustration here, the traditional method, the teacher is the center of the classroom, and the students get the homework to go home and complete. With the flipped classroom, the lecture is given to the students via video, interactive PowerPoint, a website, etc. And the classroom space now is reserved for activities, performance-based activities. So the teacher will instruct the students by sending them videos. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. When you have a long syllabus to complete, and I'm looking at now when you're dealing with the older students and you have to complete the syllabus for the students to enter the exam space. It is very difficult to complete the syllabus by teaching, giving the students enough time to assimilate the information and practice the practical area to deeply understand what is going on. So with a flipped classroom, that will be taken care of. So what happens in the flipped classroom? The students prepare to participate in the class activities. The students will then go to the classroom and perform activities. Now, if you are online, this can take the form of interactive simulations, all right? Not only simulations, but discussions, because not all the time you'll be doing practical activities, but you'll be doing as well, you'll be doing discussions as well as in terms of differentiated instructions. Persons who don't understand certain concepts, you'll take your time with them, and the ones who are quite well going on well with the concept, you can give them more difficult tasks to complete. And then now the students will go back to their home, to the computer, and they will check their understanding and extend their learning. And of course, they will come back to the teacher with whatever misconceptions they might have. So this is just some photos of that taking place here, where some students, they were discussing here, various things we discussed in the classroom, they are now trying to prove it in the lab. Here, they're trying to prove the amount of peroxide present in an open bottle, a clear open bottle, and one that is closed and the bottle is dark. So they carried out experiments to prove the percentage of peroxide in each, and they compare. Other groups did things like the percentage of ethanoic acid. We even did the amount of SO2, which is a preservative in wine. And they found out that when you drink wine, if you leave the bottle open, after a while, the sulfur dioxide will be lost. And then, or air will come in and oxidize the alcohol to acid, and then you can't drink the wine anymore. It is spoiled. So some of these things, these are pictures of some things that we discussed. This one, we discussed making of soap, and they come to the classroom now and they made their soap. All right. And over here, we're discussing chromatography. This one is column chromatography. Assessment is very important because if you're doing performance-based learning, then you must do performance-based assessment. One of the most important thing about the flipped classroom is that students must be prepared. And I will be talking further later on of some of the performance-based assessment. Let me take you to know a type of interaction that we can do instead of videos. Let's say you have students now who are in rural areas and they don't have internet access. This method is a very good one that you can implement. Now, this is called the interactive PowerPoint. Now, it takes a lot of planning and it's a lot of work, but if you plan properly, you can get it done. Now, as you can see, this is our enter button. Now, when you create your interactive PowerPoint, you'll ensure that the students will pick it up or you'll drop it off at an area close to where they are. Now, when the students pick this up, they must have a device that they can connect to. So let me show you how we start this one. Now notice you have to make it very attractive. And these are just shapes we took from PowerPoints to create these. And then you hyperlink the words so that they will be linked to specific slides. Now I made this one in such a way that I can move directly to various points in the PowerPoint. And I can always go back home. So this is just hyperlinking my slides. I could come over here and go anywhere. I could go to, let's say, the review questions. You could go directly there. Let's go back here and I'll start from the top to give you a walkthrough. So let's say we want to start from the beginning and I'll run through. Here, it's like you're creating a course. So you have to give them instructions at the beginning so they know exactly what the symbols mean. So you can go forward and backwards. You can go to home. Anytime you see the speaker, you know that you are to listen for the audio. You can watch a video when you see this and so on. But I made it so that the video will play automatically. So let's move through. These are the specific objectives from the 3 domains: cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor. We start with an icebreaker, and you can choose whatever icebreaker you want. I think this is a good one for the students in terms of word puzzle, so they can go through and find the various words. They would find that exciting. An overview. And here you have now a song. Now, tell me if you're hearing the sound, if my sound is playing. Let me see if I'm sharing sound. Just a minute. No. Let me share sound. My sound should be playing. Are you hearing the sound? Okay.
Yeah.
So just let's give you a little start.
All right, everybody,
So
are
the
you
song
ready
is
for the
the
3
concept.
states of matter song? Here we go. Solid, liquid, and gas.
Right, let's move on. And so the song will talk about the 3 states of matter: solid, liquids, and gas. Moving through.
Ooh,
Now, the videos, remember now, you're trying to send this interactive PowerPoint to students who might not have internet access. So you have to make sure that the videos are embedded into the PowerPoint. So they will play without the need for internet access. And of course, in doing the flipped classroom, you have to make sure you find videos that will complement what you want to the objectives to say or to come out. So these videos will talk about exactly
I'm sorry,
what I want them
little
to learn.
kitty.
It's okay.
All right, so just moving through for the interest of time.
Hello friends, welcome to a new Happy Learning video.
So the various videos, we'll be discussing various concepts based on the objectives. All right, so here we have some other stuff looking at changing states. Moving through. Another video.
Have you ever wondered why ice turns into puddles of water on a sweltering day?
All right, so this will discuss all the concepts. So when they're now reading the notes, it will make more sense to them. All right, notice I have you'll hear my voice later on, and I have a photo because you want to make sure that you still have teacher presence. All right, so let's move through these.
Kinetic molecular theory of matter. The description of matter in terms of the motion of the molecules or atoms in it.
And you'll notice everywhere there's a video, you'll see the watch video symbol. All right, going through particulate theory of matter, various definitions. And now you can see what's going on in terms of a solid, which is a crystal here. What happens when you are dissolving in terms of particles and diffusion. And so you can see that the slides are not dead. The slides are lively. So while they're discussing the concept of osmosis, something should be happening in the beaker. So when they read the notes here, it should be explaining what is going on in the beaker here, where you have your semi-permeable membrane. I prefer the term selectively permeable instead of semi. Okay, moving through.
Hi, good day. Welcome to your chemistry podcast. Now, in today's podcast, we will be reviewing the meaning of the following terms: matter, particles, atoms.
So this is a podcast that I did, and I embedded the podcast in the interactive PowerPoint. And what I did with the podcast here, I recorded the podcast on my phone with a recorder, and then I placed the recording into Audacity, and I did my editing there, adding music, turning it down, removing unwanted sounds, and so on. And then I embedded that sound, that MP3 file, into the interactive PowerPoint. And so they're not only seeing my photo, but they're also hearing my voice. You want to ensure that if it is online and persons are at home, right, you want to ensure that they can still interact with the material or the concepts. So we have various interactive simulations that you can use. This one is a very popular one, and this is from PhET. Now, I'm not sure if you are aware, but PhET can be embedded into your PowerPoint directly from the PowerPoint. It will allow you to embed that particular platform here. The students can move through the various sections here, or windows. Let me open this one. And once they see this, they can change the various atoms and molecules. All right? So let's look at this concept here that they can think about. Why water looks like this. If you notice, the water is not coming as close as possible like the neon. Now, water has what is called hydrogen bonds. And hydrogen bonds, it's a very unique property about water, because this is the main reason why water is so light. All right? And when you form ice, it freezes from the top down. If water was able to form ice with the particles being this close, then the water would freeze from the ground up. And we know the implication that would have on aquatic life. So water freezing from the surface down is a very important property. And that will allow, of course, when the water freezes at the top, then the aquatic life can move around at the bottom of the ocean, the stream, the lakes, and so on. So the students can now interact with it by increasing the flame. So you're adding heat, breaking bonds, okay? They can interact by cooling, and this is now using the ice bath. So in the lab, in science, you apply heat by using a Bunsen flame, and you cool by using the ice bath. Moving on. This is a summary. Now they can read,
summary,
but
matter is
you
made
can
of
put your voice there as well.
particles. The particles of matter are in constant random motion. This simply means that they are moving around, especially in gases. The farther the particles are apart, the weaker.
Same thing in terms of creating the sound using your phone, then putting the file into Audacity and doing the editing there. And then you export as MP3 file. Once you're through, they are ready for a quiz. Now, let's say I'm giving this interactive PowerPoint to somebody who they have the internet. I would not go ahead and do this particular type of assessment. What I would do is I would embed a particular portal or website or platform that does that kind of stuff, that type of test. So you have test portal, quizzes, Quizlet, and I would just embed the link here, and they would now press the link and go straight to that portal and do the questions there. And it will be integrated now directly into my Google Classroom. So let's say they don't have the internet. They can now come here and do some practicing. So let's say we press true. True or false? Particles in gases have lower energy than liquids. Let's say somebody was not paying attention and they press true. Then they will get the symbol that says that no, you are incorrect. Now I know they don't have the internet, but I still put a link here just in case they get access. They can press the link and it will take them directly to a website that gives them an explanation as to why their answer is incorrect. So they can go back to the question, and now they can check to see if false is correct. And there you are. You are correct. Again, you can press the link and go to a website that will tell you or give you some extra explanation. You go back and you continue. So I put at least, 10 questions I think is good to cover the concepts. And again, same thing. Once you press an answer, if it's wrong, you'll get the sad face. If it's correct, you'll get the thumbs up along with a link to give you further explanation. And these are my 10 questions that I place here. Again, you can use your quizzes, your test portal, your Quizlet. All right, any site that you wish. And here I have my teacher information, and this is my email for my school. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope it was informative. Thank you very much.
You can hear?
No, not yet. Make sure you're sharing. Now we can.
Thank you.
Hello everyone. I'm Michelle Bright Chinsey, Master Teacher, Visual Arts at Respondents School. I'm here today to share my best practices with hands-on learning. Hands-on learning, the foundation of art education. Hands-on activities help to bring real-world experiences into learning. Once the students connect concepts through hands-on activities, they can then deepen their knowledge, theory, and skills to take them to the next level. Part of my lesson planning involves looking at the topic and creating a statement. For example, exploring design through lines. My statement: in design, if a line is the path of a moving point through space, then we should be able to connect real-world activities to the use of lines in the two-dimensional space. Let's see. For the task, I think STEM. So for this hands-on task, they'll be required to construct and build a plane. Then they'll be asked to go and fly the plane in an open space, given it several drives. They'll be asked to observe the path of the plane, after which they'll have to transfer what they saw or what they observed or what they experienced on paper using a series of lines. And they will be allowed to add color to enhance their designs.
Okay, so this is one type. Can you do another type? Oh, this is awesome. All right, let's go fly plane.
All right. Okay, let it rip, guys. Whoop, where's that? In the tree. Next one. Ooh. The other one now. Come on, let it go, let it go. Go. Woo, beautiful. Next one. And nice. Let's see if we can do one more. Let me see that blue one take off again. Let's go. Yep. Nice. Beautiful. Next. Here we go. That's a lighter version, so it should go with okay. Last one. Nice. Thank you, guys. Awesome job.
This is where the student make connection. This is where hands-on meets minds-on. Now, several topics can come from this one activity. We can look at line as an element of art. We can talk about types of lines. We are looking at lines in design. We can distinguish between two-dimensional art form and three-dimensional art forms from this activity. Thank you for allowing me to share with you my best practices on hands-on learning.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So today we're going to be looking at online assessment, one of my best practices as it relates to online assessment. And I want to start off by saying, prior to COVID, we were assessing, in certain conditions, invigilating our exams, whether it be formative or summative assessment. We wanted to ensure that whatsoever grades that we get from our students are one that reflect that of their potential, that of the learning outcome, and that of their ability to, exercise their understanding at different cognitive domain. Now, in light of the virtual space, it's very difficult to monitor that aspect. We have seen in several instances where students allow other students or even parents or adults to do their work to ensure that they get that of a very good grade, which is not the intention or the true intention, or should not be the intention of assessment, not to produce grades, but to ensure that we have a good understanding of the learning outcomes of the lessons and to see where our students are at in terms of their cognitive level within a particular concept. And so I'll be sharing with you a particular assessment tool at this point. I'll be sharing with you on that, so bear with me as I take you right over into my presentation here with that of the assessment tool. Now, the assessment tool that I'll be sharing with you today is one that is called Test Portal. Many persons would know me for that because I am very, very big on Test Portal because it provides, a great level of condition or security to what we would call effective online assessment. Now, Test Portal is an online assessment tool. You can purchase the tool, which provides you with a great level of usage. There are about $39 for it. However, teachers are still able to access using what we call the free plan, but this plan has a limitation. It cannot accommodate more than 100 students at any given time sitting the paper on the tool or on the platform. And so as you get the chance to interact with it more, you have other features that, we can talk about or experience. But certainly the free plan, it has some level of restriction or limitations to it. Now, it provides assessment at all cognitive domains, so you can incorporate videos, graphs, charts, tables that will allow students to be tested at different cognitive domain, the interpretation, analysis, application questions. Question types too, structured, multiple choice, true or false, in a very creative way. It can be done using Test Portal. And it provides conditions to verify the legitimacy of students' grade. And we're going to be looking at that. And to a great degree, it provides real-time feedback and monitoring of students sitting the paper. Now, as I made mention before, prior to COVID, we would be sitting in a classroom like this where you have a teacher sitting probably at the back or walking through to ensure that students are not, cheating or aided by any resource booklets and so forth. So at this point, where we have students online, it's very difficult for us now to monitor as we would normally do. However, we have to be mindful that these students that we are preparing them for paper-based exam, and so we have to ensure that we meet the conditions as much as possible, or try to put them within that condition that they will be assessed for external exam. And so here comes Test Portal. So Test Portal, you can see right here that there is a wide range of tests that can be stored on the platform. So you can create a test bank and you store your tests right here on the platform that is only accessible to you as the teacher. All right. Now, the Test Portal, it provides a teacher with the opportunity to randomize the questions. So no one group of students will get the same set of questions in that particular order, or not only the order of the question, but even the options are randomized. So that somewhat minimizes or reduces the chance of students communicating or sharing answers for number 1, number 2, number 3, because they are not the same. You can even up the pool of questions and allow them to get 30 out of the 60. So it could be any 30 that any one student gets. So each paper is unique, but it's assessing the same concept. All right. Another thing is that of the time. Time is a very crucial part of our assessment at the CSEC or at the CAPE level or in any exam. It's normally time is a condition. It's that variable that must be taken into consideration. And so Test Portal provide a time limit or time-based condition where students have to complete the assessment by. So you can give a duration for the entire paper, or you can time the item, because it's very important that students learn to manage the time per item. And so that is created. So at the end of the duration of the test, the test will be submitted automatically to that of the portal for teachers to gain access of the grade. So it's an automatic marking process. Another thing is that of the honesty respondents technology, which is a big deal because it provides protection against the movement of students towards other browser or options to gain access to materials. So it can restrict them. You can put it on enable warning or to enable warning and test block the students who are trying to, gain access to other resources on the same device. You may want to think about what if a student is using several devices. Again, time would be another factor working against them because you can set time to each question. So by the time they should move in to a device to get the answer, then it may not help them. And it could be just an application question that he or she may not be able to just move on and get that answer readily. We spoke about the fixed order. It could be fixed or you could randomize it. Another is that of the respondents monitoring. So that component right here, as we can see on the screen here, the third, the respondents monitoring. When your students are doing the exam, you can see all your students real time. Roy Campbell, Dave Brown, all the names you're seeing and who is at 19 out of 30, who is at question 3. You can monitor them where they're at, how fast they're working, and all of that you can monitor. And then you can close the test. When it has a life, it will expire within the duration that you give them. But you can monitor to see if all your students are on and how fast they are working, real time. Amazing. And so another feature is that of the analysis. The analysis. So each question is analyzed across the class. So you teachers can get an idea of how well students perform at question 1. It may assess maybe a definition or a principle and to see that here 90% or 30% of the students, they were able to answer that question, and you can go back to see if you need to revisit that particular concept based on the performance of the students, item by item. It also measures the difficulty of the questions, as you can see here on the chart. So it will tell based on the performance of the students, questions 1, 2, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 23, 27, 33. They are easy questions because most students would have scored points in these questions. Medium difficulty, you can see those, they are not many students would have scored very high there or not too low, within a range, and the difficult questions having fewer students topping to those questions. You may look at the application to see what's the problem to guide our practice in the revision process. All right, so that will take us through that as we try to utilize our online tool. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Sorry for that.
Good afternoon, colleagues, and welcome to my best practice presentation on group work. My name is Nadine Ellis-Hall, Master Teacher of Chemistry, currently teaching at Cornwall College. Now, on the current pandemic situation, there are Many of us who are not as comfortable as we would have been with face-to-face. There are many different situations across the world with respect to education. Some persons are back to face-to-face. Some persons are doing hybrid or blended learning, and some persons are totally online. With all of these different situations across the world, within our country, within parishes, even within the same communities, it means that we have to make the very best of our situation. And group work has always been an important part of what we do. Now, group work has been proven to be very important as it provides opportunity for developing important process skills and attitudes in science learning. Now, these process skills include observing, classifying, inferring, predicting, measuring, communicating, use of space and time relations, formulating hypotheses, experimenting, recognizing variables, interpreting data, and formulating models. Now, with us being online and not physically in the classroom or in labs, a part of our repertoire has basically been taken from us, but we can work with what is the current situation. Now, the benefits. There are many benefits of group work, and some of them are that we're able to take complex tasks and break them down into parts and steps so that students are better able to relate to this. Also, it improves planning and management of time. It refines understanding through discussion and explanation. And we know that some children do learn best from their peers. And so group work is an opportunity for that. Group work is also an opportunity for us to give and receive feedback. So we give the students feedback on their performance, and we can garner feedback from them as to our performance as teachers. This is also a medium for students to be able to challenge assumptions, get them creative, get them innovative, get them thinking and developing their hypotheses. And of course, it is a means of developing stronger communication skills. Now, there are many digital tools out there, and I just found a few of them to share here with respect to what we can do for collaboration in the online environment. Now, Padlet, which is the one that I'm going to do a short demonstration on, and how it is that we can utilize this is one of the tools. There is Flipgrid. We can use Zoom also as a means of facilitating group work. Microsoft Teams also has on it features that you can utilize for group work. And of course, there is Minecraft. Now, with all of that said, I am now going to move on, and we're going to look at the actual Padlet. We're going to look at the actual Padlet website and how it is that we can utilize Padlet. Now, Padlet is all over the internet, and simply for those of you who are not aware, you simply type Padlet into your Google search engine and it will come up. Now, there's a free version, of course, and then there's a paid version. But the free version gives you so much to work with that you don't need necessarily the paid version unless you want all of the different features. All right, so this is my Padlet, and I am going to, you would get a dashboard that looks similar to this, and you would simply click Make a Padlet. All right. And you can choose the type of Padlet that it is that you want. Do you want a canvas? Do you want a timeline? Is it a map you want? What is the design? Is it a grid? So that you can, so depending on what it is, or a wall, depending on what it is that you, the purpose of your group work, then you can choose the type of Padlet that you want to use. So I am going to choose a wall, and I'm going to select my wall. Now with this, with the free version, of course, you basically get a limited number of pads. But of importance here, if you break your class into groups and you create a pad for each of your class, then you can simply copy. You can simply copy the address and share with the group. And they now have this area that they can come to, and they can change, they can put their work on, they can modify in any way. So they can give it a title. So I can change the title, and I could say, reproduction in plants. And I can label this group 1. So this is the area that I would then put. You can put the description, what is required here, under your description, and you can leave it. You can put an icon if you would like to put an icon, and of course you would then copy. You can change the wall, the wallpaper, and decide that you're going to leave it blank for the students to use. And you can do several things and make it. You could decide that you want to make it look like a bulletin board, a cork board. So when they put their, whatever it is that they would like, they're putting up, it looks more like a bulletin board than anything else. All right. So once you have done that, you can now copy this Padlet and share with the students by whatever medium, WhatsApp group. And so group 1 would now have this Padlet to work with. All right. So here, the students will be able to go on when they log in, and they can double click, they can put links. There are so many things that they would be able to do using their Padlet. So I can decide that I am going to drag and paste files, or if I have pictures to upload. So the students can come in and they can work here. So here they can upload. So they could decide that they're going to pick a file, go to their computer. So they depending on what it is that you have given as your parameter, they could upload something. They could, from their computer, say they could have done the work elsewhere and uploaded from their device. All right, that is all a part of the options of utilizing this. They could decide that they're going to upload pictures. So they could snap a picture using their camera. there are many options. They can put in a link. They could put in a YouTube video. They could put in GIFs. There are many ways that they could utilize this. And once they are finished, and part of the feature that is really wonderful with the class, I can invite the entire class to now come and have a look at the different groups. So you can have a gallery walk, a virtual gallery walk with each person, each member of the class now being able to have a look at what their classmates did. And you can lock it so that they cannot modify. So after the due date, you lock it so that persons are not able to go in and to modify, and therefore it means that you have control of your pads. Now, so if we can go over, you will go to padlet.com. Now, once you have created your pad, you can add posts with one click. You can copy and paste or drag and drop. All of the changes are auto-saved. Simple link sharing allows for quick collaboration. You can invite others to contribute, and sign up is not required, so they don't have to sign up. You can work with unlimited contributors. So you could also decide that you are going to use one pad, and you can utilize that and work with the one pad instead of creating pads for different groups. You can give read only. You can allow persons to write. You can allow them to moderate. You can give them admin access. And as the creator, you can revoke any of these at any time. You can also upload files from your computer. Take a picture or a video from your phone or a link from the web and place it there. You can post images, documents, videos, music can be incorporated, files from Photoshop, illustrations, and many more. You can also embed content from anywhere on the web. So YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere that the information is, the students are able to take it there. And therefore you are opening a whole range for your students to utilize. And of course you can attach links and files, and you can, these links and files will appear with a contextual preview so that viewers will be able to get a hint of what the students would like to showcase. Now, this is my presentation on group work. Do not at this time let us, because of us not being in the physical classroom, in the physical space, and say, oh no, we can't do group work. We can. And when we do go back face to face, this is a tool that we can utilize to make group work interesting, to allow the students to be as fun and as creative as they want to be and as they can be. So colleagues, at this time, I would just like to thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to share with you my take and my best practice on group work and the importance of group work. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, educators, principals, administrators, teachers, friends. I welcome you all this evening, and I'm sure you're enjoying the presentation and grabbing some ideas if possible. But here I am. My name is Bhagya Maladi. I'm a master teacher from Immaculate Conception High School, and my area of specialization is integrated science. So I'm here to share some of my experiences for student engagement in synchronous learning. Now, when I mean synchronous learning, we all know that at this time last year, when I did a webinar on the same platform, I had asked a question that are we in the physical classroom? And I said to myself, no. So are we still involved? Are we involved in this teaching modality now? Not yet, but we are going to get there very soon. So I'm still streaming from home, from the corner of my house and online. And as you can see in this picture, this is a grade 8, 11th of May recently, and they're all behind their cameras, but I'm sure they are working because I ensure that they are engaged in whatever way I can engage them, motivate them, help them to learn, help them to understand. So basically, when I'm looking at synchronous learning, I ask, do we need social presence and teacher presence? Yes, very much. Synchronous learning happens only when social presence and teacher presence is there. But how do I do it? Yes, I have strategies, and these strategies, the first thing I try to do is to keep my students attentive in class. And if I have to keep them attentive in class, I always bear in mind the 6 levels of this taxonomy, which we are all very, very familiar with. Lower order thinking skills and higher order thinking skills. And I make sure that I am helping them to increase their curiosity. And this curiosity will only come if the students are engaged, if they feel they belong to a classroom where they are learning with like-minded classmates and friends. But we have to understand that our classes have have learners with different learning styles. And this is one thing I keep in mind when I am engaging my students, because engagement motivates them to learn and progress in their education. So how do I do it? Well, how I do it is I choose specific tools to ensure that they're actively engaged in the face-to-face classes every day, which means a lot of planning and organization is needed. But believe me, once we are organized, once we plan, things go very smooth. Planning and organization is very, very important. So what do? I make them passionate, responsible learners. How do I do that? I believe learning by doing. This was always me. That is how I learned. Whenever I learn something, I have to do something to learn it. Because I always remember Benjamin Franklin saying, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. And hence what I do is, this is a free whiteboard fee. It's free. You just type in whiteboard fee in the browser, and every student in your class can get a personal whiteboard. And when they get a personal whiteboard, you push work to them as the class is going on. And when you push work to them, they are working. You are monitoring their progress because everyone is having their own whiteboard, working together. And this motivates them because they are watching their friends working, and this will increase their participation in the class. Remember, through this whiteboard, they can track their progress. It increases student decision making and it makes them responsible learners. The other app I use, online app, is very, very good, is a Jamboard. Now this is my home page and you can see how students are using the Jamboard. They are collaborating together on the same page. They write their answers, they write how they feel the classes, they sometimes draw, they scribble, and they also make mistakes. But remember, when they make mistakes, they learn. That is how we learn. None of us can learn without making mistakes. And hence, it's very important that we engage them when they are learning. Now, Edpuzzle, I know I had talked about it a number of times and I've also attended workshops, but Edpuzzle is a wonderful tool and you can use it for formative assessments at the beginning of the class or at the end of the class. And as Mr. Burrell has already mentioned, PET, how I use PET is I make my students create online models These are simulations they do, and you can see over here the student is learning, and this is pink pair share. All the students are collaborating, they're asking questions. So every student has created an online model. They have to come to class and they have to demonstrate their skills. So PET is extremely useful when I use it in my classes. This is learning by doing. What else do I do? Okay, so I allow students to take ownership for their learning, because I believe that when students take ownership, they are motivated, they are engaged, and they are self-directed. Now, to be motivated and to be engaged, I use this tool which is called Spiral AC. It's a very powerful tool, collaborative learning, and I have taken, these are all my recent, maybe 2 weeks, the work that was done, and you can see each one of them. You throw a question to them and they are writing their answers. We can reveal the names, we may not reveal the names, we can reveal the answers, we can decide when to reveal the answers, and they learn from each other. So if we want them, if we want to know how they understand, how they learn, we need to turn to UDL, which is Universal Design Learning. Give them multiple ways of engagement. Here you can see the student again using PET and trying to explain to all of us how to measure the pH of a solution. And here you can see all of them drawing circuits at the same time. So a question was given to them, draw any circuit, and I gave them the components and you can see them. And when they make mistakes, they correct each other. So multiple means of engagement, multiple means of representation, and multiple means of expression. Very, very important. Okay, and I can also show you that sometimes it so happens that everybody doesn't have internet, no connectivity. You can always ask them when you send any work to the Google Classroom, you can ask them to use cost-effective resources. Here they have used, if you can guess, these are disposable plates. So they learned the cell and they drew the cell on disposable plates. And then I took a screenshot. So you can see they are so creative, very, very motivated. Here, this is grade 8. I gave them a food template for a food plate, and I asked them to make a nutritious plate for their friends. Some of them have drawn, some of them have taken internet pictures, and they turn it into Google Classroom. Here again, this is Jamboard. This was a formative assessment. We were doing revision for a test. So you see that everywhere we have to make sure that they are learning, because they are behind the cameras and we can't see them, but we have to ensure that they are learning. Now, what happens is when you engage them, they are so confident. They are so confident that when it comes to a test, it just is normal for them. They do so well. This is a test actually, a summative assessment on Edulastic, and you can see how they have used their concepts here. So they don't feel nervous. They feel very much good, and they feel they learned a lot. They know they are confident. Sometimes we as teachers, we have to do demonstrations. Sometimes I have to do some demonstrations to help them to learn how to enhance their science process skills. And to do that, I have to demonstrate. I don't know, my laptop is giving me trouble now. Just a second, sorry for that. Yes. So sometimes when I do demonstrations, I help them to understand that it's very important to enhance your science process skills. Last year, before COVID hit us, I had given a task for grade 7 in groups to make puzzles, and they had to solve each other's puzzles. I did not give up this time. I found an app which helps them to play online puzzles in the class. So in groups, they were playing and they were enjoying it, because the criteria was whoever solves it in the earliest time will get the highest grade. And so you see, application is so important in engagement. So they are learning, even though online, they are still doing everything they have to do and they are enjoying it. Again, demonstration over here, when I was teaching them about the air, I was using cost-effective resources. And you can see this is a simple plastic bag. I had to teach them about air. And so simple, a plastic bag blown up, and we were learning about the air, and we were having a very good class. So I'm just showing you the different ways how I engage my students in the classes. Apart from that, I also believe that if we see and we critique, we also learn. Sometimes when I take positive criticism and I make them my collaborators, because it helps me to improve my work. Here you can see a grade 9 students had to make homemade indicators, and this is cabbage juice, and she's testing the pH of different solutions. And when she did it, she came online in the class and she was showcasing her skills. So everybody submits their videos online, and those who can't share, I share it for them. So in the classes, and then we have a very good discussion. And further down, if I just, this is another way of engaging students. My laptop is tired. Okay, so this is a Reflex art they made with cost-effective resources. It was a problem-based project learning, and you see this is a higher order thinking skill. So they have created it at home with simple material, very cost-effective, and they are learning as a result of that. So she explains her Reflex art during class and how she made it. And there are all the students who have made similar Reflex art but using different simple, cost-effective resources. And this is one, I just wanted to show you this video. It's a very short, it's about 1 minute. I hope you'll enjoy it.
What you'll need for this experiment is a battery, copper wire, screw with string, and a neodymium magnet. First, you'll take the screw with the string, place the neodymium magnets on the wider end of the screw, then face the pointed end to the roof, get the positive side of the battery, and place the pointed end on the positive side of the battery. Then you'll take the copper wire, place one end so that it's touching the negative end of the battery and the other end so that it's touching the magnets. The magnet begins to spin, and this is electromagnetism. What is happening in this experiment is that electricity is flowing from the battery through the copper wire to the magnet, through the screw, and back to the battery. This is causing the magnet to spin.
So you can see they are so happy when they have ownership for their own learning, because learners are motivated, engaged, self-directed. And I know that we continue on our journey and we are doing well, good, and we'll continue to do our best. And thank you so much for being here this evening. Thank you all. Rebecca, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, we'd like to take probably the next 15 minutes or so to see if there are any questions for any of our presenters. So the way to go about doing this, you're welcome to type your question in the chat, but I also welcome you if you do the digital hand raise. I can let you open up your microphone and ask your question. Just please do make sure that you let us know to whom you're directing your question, because we had quite a few different panelists. Anybody happen to have any question? Inmaculada? No? Inmaculada, do you have a question? I think not. Let's try Debbie Ann Bailey. Let me go ahead and allow you to unmute.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Go ahead. What's your question?
I'm interested about the whiteboard.
Okay.
Yeah, the whiteboard. How do you integrate it in the classroom?
Okay. What you do is before the class begins, you just type whiteboard.fi in the web browser, and then it just asks you for two things. It will ask for your name. You can give a nickname or you can give your name. There's a create button. You just click on it, and that's it. Your teacher board will come up, you can toggle with it, and you can insert an image before class. And then when the students come in, you just copy and paste the code. They have a code or a link, just copy and paste it in the chat, When they click on it, they start registering and you can see all of them coming up on your screen. And then there's a push button. So when you push whatever you have on your teacher whiteboard, you go onto their whiteboard and then they start working and you can monitor them.
So they can manipulate. There are tools that they can manipulate in.
Yes, they have all the tools like Microsoft Word. They have all the tools. They have colors, they have pens, they have even math or everything they have. They just manipulate it and they do their work.
And this is a free tool?
Yes, it's a free tool, but the advantage or the disadvantage, whatever you call it, it's open, it's active for 2 hours as long as you have kept it open. Now, if you come out of it, you lose it because it's a free tool. So what you do is just keep it open. After the students finish, you can download it as a PDF file and it downloads everyone's whiteboard, including yours, and it goes into your device and you have it there. So you can later go and check it, no problem.
Very interesting.
Yes, it's excellent. I've been using it and it's just amazing.
Okay, I think I'm going to try that.
Yes, try it.
Sounds very exciting.
Thank you for your question, Debbie Ann. Great. All right, let's, Anel, go ahead and open up your microphone and what's your question?
Hi, good evening, everybody. I loved all the presentations. I've got to say that. Well done, teachers. I'm curious about Padlet and the applications that Mrs. Maladi uses. Are they suitable for phones, cellular phones? Many of my students have cellular phones, so I want to know if these things are compatible with cellular phones.
Okay, the Spiral is compatible with everything. So it will adjust the screen according to the device that you're using. You can use a laptop, a tablet, even Padlet is compatible, right? Nadine, you want to say something about it?
Padlet is also compatible.
Yes.
Because you can download things from your phone and place onto the pad. So it's quite compatible with all of the devices.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, Anel. Let's see, who else has questions? Again, you're welcome to type them into the chat or just raise your digital hand and I'll make sure that you can open your microphone.
Rebecca, there's a question asking if, can you share presentation link? So I think you'll be sharing the recording.
Yes, yeah, I posted in there. So there's a link that I just put in the chat. Once we get the recording compiled and put on YouTube, it will be available there. If there's a particular presentation, like set of slides or something you're interested in, I would say go ahead and write that in the chat and we can see if the presenters would be willing to directly share their slides as well. Good. Any other questions? Or anything anybody would care to share with our presenters or with the other attendees today? Or how about do our, as we wait for any additional questions, how about our panelists? Now you've seen everybody else's presentations. Do you have any additional reflections as we think about all the variety and diversity of ideas that we've seen? Do you have any advice for our attendees, particularly as we're going into, I don't know when your academic year starts, but I think you are all in Jamaica, you're all ending your school year soon, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and so now you're going to be going into another year of uncertainty. So it's a chance to rethink things yet again. What will you do differently? What will you do the same based on what you've learned?
I can just jump in here to say was a wonderful presentation by all 5 master teachers, and to the participants and or guests that are with us. In looking on all the strategies that were used, when we're going to go into the new school year, I think one thing that is incumbent on all teachers, we have to think outside the box. In order to engage our students, as Ms. Maladi was saying, if you are somebody that, like me, I must say, I've been using Edpuzzle and Kahoot quite a bit, And one of the things that presentations like this forces you to do is to try new digital tools to make your class spicy. And also, just like how we've been learning in terms of differentiating learning, it doesn't all have to come from the teacher. Sometimes our students know way more, especially these 21st century students know way more than we do. So sometimes in your WhatsApp groups, because I know the teachers who are here who have students that have very, very limited internet access, and we have to rely heavily on our WhatsApp groups. You can send out feelers, just as how Mr. Burrell talked about the flipped classroom. Before you have the lesson, if you group your students in your WhatsApp groups, you can now throw out the question, throw out the device that are the strategy that they would want to use, and you'll be surprised to do little or nothing but just guide the lesson, because they will come up with all sorts of interactive things. So it's like what COVID has done in terms of changing the landscape of education in Jamaica. I think it has forced Jamaican educators to change their mindset, to move away from the traditional focal point of teacher engaging students at the front of the class and realize that it's not all about us. It's the 21st century learners, and they're the ones that will make an impact. So well done to our 5 master teachers. I think we have all learned things that we can use even tomorrow in our classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Marsha.
I don't see any additional questions. Does anybody else from the panel? Oh, Carrie Ann. Let me go ahead and let you unmute. Go ahead, Carrie Ann.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carrie Ann from Jamaica. I am a primary school teacher. I don't have a question. I just have some comments. Excellent presentations to all the persons who did their sessions this afternoon. I was particularly pleased with the presentation on the flipped classroom, because I am currently in a mentorship program with the Jamaica Teaching Council, and we have to conduct a research, and the research that I am working on is focused on the flipped classroom. So I was quite pleased that I got some information from Mr. Burrell. Most of the presentations focused on high schools, I think. Well, I did say I didn't have a question, but it turns out that I do have a question. I teach the younger students, 4th grade. Do you think they would be able to navigate these online tools similar to how the older students would be able to do it? Thank you.
Great question, Carrie Ann. Who would like to tackle that?
All right, Nadine, I will speak. I think for Padlet, with some teacher guidance, the students will be able to manipulate. It's an easy tool to use. So if you guide the students as to how to copy and paste, most persons have a cell phone, how they can transfer from the cell phone to Padlet. It's just a matter of guidance. Grade 4, I think they would be able to. And it's a tool that you don't necessarily have to use, outside of the classroom. So you could start out by using it during a synchronous class and get persons to kind of play with it so that they can get comfortable with it for the younger students. And then as you move along and they get comfortable with it, then you could now start doing assigning them assignments that they could do on their own. I don't know if anyone else would like to.
Certainly, as it relates to test portal, I think it is, one that just about any students can manipulate. I strongly recommend it because I know at the primary level, we are using Google Forms, and we have been seeing quite a bit of parents doing the assessment for their students, which to some extent have me thinking that we really need to step up on the assessment, because what we're getting in terms of the grades on a true reflection of those of our students. And so we have to see how best we can ensure that what we're getting from the students is really what they would have grasped from the concepts that would have engaged them in. So Test Portal can be used with just about any other tool. You can send it through WhatsApp, Google Classroom, Zoom, just about any other tools you can, marry the Test Portal with. And it's something that we need to try out at the primary school level. I would be very happy with that.
I'd like to just interject and say I've seen a number of people mention both Nearpod and Seesaw, and my daughter, who's 10 years old, has been using Seesaw since March 13th of last year, and it's been very successful. So I agree with the people who say that the young children seem to have no trouble or very limited trouble. Thank you. Anel, do you have another question?
Actually, it's not a question. I wanted to agree with the use of these applications with the students at the 4, 5, and 6 level. I'm not sure. I would think grade 3 to a different level, because I too have a child who is he's actually in grade 5, but we have cousins in grade 4 and cousins in grade 6. And I'm telling you, if they were doing more of these kinds of activities, well, for my son especially, he would be more engaged, because his teacher does a lot of teaching, and you have to be very careful with him and watch and make sure that he's always focusing, because if there's a lot of talking going on, he will start to drift, so using some of these. And I've used Nearpod, so I think it could be applicable, because you can guide them through it as a teacher. I haven't used Seesaw, so I'm going to try it out now that you told me about it. I'm going to try it out with him. But I would really encourage the teachers of the primary level to begin. It would be easy if you could get some additional teachers in to help you, but just a little by little, you put in the interactive presentations, engage them. That would be really good.
Thank you, Anel. I see we have a question from Nadine, and then there's some questions in the chat. Go ahead, Nadine.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Wonderful presentations. My question is related to that of the interactive PowerPoint, where I understand that the PowerPoint can be embedded in the video. So I have never done this before. However, with questioning, I'm understanding that I could also put the information on a thumb drive and send it to the students. I am in an area where there is a lot of economical challenges, and so many times the students, they even start class, but they will eventually fall off because of lack of internet or data challenges. So many of them do not own a thumb drive either. So I'm just wondering, in a situation like this, how would I really get this information to my students? Because I really like this idea, having the information embedded in the PowerPoint so that when they click on, they can see everything. So I just need your input, because it has been boggling my mind. How do I get this done? So I'll appreciate the response.
Who would like to tackle that?
All right. So let me say that you could, what's the word I'm looking for? Approach stakeholders, persons who are interested in education, to assist you with that. And I don't think that the thumb drives are very expensive, that a company or even individual could not provide you with maybe 5. I don't know. You could take it from that approach.
Okay.
And sometimes you have other parents who would assist needy students. So I don't know, you can think of some ways that can be done.
Okay, thank you much.
You're welcome. Can I say something?
Of course.
With regards to assessment? So Mr. Amakard dealt with assessment. Now, as a science teacher, we deal with a lot of performance-based assessment. So doing the flipped classroom, and I'll answer a question I saw also in the chat about the time. So doing the flipped classroom, it really allows for a lot of performance-based assessment because you now have time to carry out experiments and go through trial and errors. And then now when students are comfortable with certain equipment or apparatus, then you can now go ahead and do some evaluation there. So that is ongoing. And there's no need to assess everything, but you know, it's a very useful tool. In terms of the question I saw earlier in the chat that asked about the time, let's say you are doing things by objective and you do a video that covers maybe say 5 objectives, then you could put timestamps on the videos, or you could even just tell the students, all right, so for this class, we will be looking at the first 2 objectives, and the video is from say 0 to say 2 minutes, just an example. So you don't have to give the students the entire video to watch to come to class to now carry out some activities or to carry out some discussions, etc. So you could do it objective by objective. Hope that helps.
Thank you. All right. Any additional questions from our attendees? I think we may have addressed everything. So unless anybody has anything else to say on behalf, the panel or Dr. Thomas or Marsha, I'm going to go ahead and close. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add? All right. If not, I am going to very, very briefly share my screen. All right. Okay. So what I'd like to share with all of you is that, so first of all, thank you all for attending. We will be sending out, or the recording and the recording for sure will be available at www.oas.org. I will probably send out a follow-up email as well to all of those who registered, including those who are here and those who were not able to attend, with a link to that recording. And then I've just placed in the chat a link to a survey. I ask you to fill that out. Actually, we have a special event coming up on June 1st from, I believe it's 3 to 4:30 p.m. Washington, D.C. time, which I believe is 2 to 3:30 p.m. Jamaica time. It's open to everybody across Latin America and the Caribbean, but on June 1st specifically, we're having an English version of a poster session. The poster session is lots and lots of fun. It's a place where there will be posters that are interactive that will be presented by project teams, including members of the team that presented here today. And of course, any of the panelists too, if you all want to include a poster yourselves, I offer you that opportunity. You can see there's a picture in the lower right-hand corner here. The interface that we use is really quite unique. It's very different from being on a webinar. It actually has, it's like a game where you can move around, and as you get close to people, you get to see them on camera and talk to them directly. And then you can see their interactive slides directly in that space. So if you're interested in learning more about the work of ITEN, the work of this specific project team from Jamaica, like I said, which is collaborating with Suriname, the United States, and also Antigua and Barbuda, as well as project teams from, I think it's over 25 different countries that we've got involved, and many teachers as well, who are beyond just the project teams themselves. Come learn, and if you complete the survey that I shared in the chat, or that you can access, it's the same survey you can access through the short URL. Once you complete the survey, it will give you a link to learn more and also to register to attend that session on June 1st. So with that, I want to thank you so much for your time today, your attendance, and of course, for all your support of great teachers and teaching. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Rebecca. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you and bye.
Excellent work.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.